Well, how about the media? Is there a need to be cautious as serpents? Well, in some lands, they have state-controlled news reports that are blatantly slanted. And sometimes Jehovah's Witnesses are slandered or ridiculous charges are trumped up against them. A dove could be ensnared by these reports, start to tremble. But because of this counsel from Jesus to also be cautious as serpents, then we're not easily duped. And how about even in a free country? What about the news media in a free country? Christians need to be careful not to adopt the bias of a particular news commentator. Instead of getting involved in the political leanings of that news broadcast, we should remember the words of Paul at 2 Timothy 1:13. 2 Timothy 1:13, he said, "Keep holding to the standard of wholesome words, with the faith and love that result from union with Christ Jesus." So, in harmony with our text today, if we're in union with Christ Jesus, then we need to prove ourselves cautious as serpents, but innocent as doves.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning. What do you do when the coffee's gone? You drink tea.
Well, it's way too early because of the time change to deal with Watchtower BS. It's like, not enough coffee in the world for that one.
Well, this is obviously some sort of damage control, but before we get into any of this, I have a question for you.
What?
What does the current governing 8 members floating here and the previous presidents of the Watchtower and Babel Crap Society all have in common?
They're liars and hypocrites?
No, every single one of them suffers from constipation of the brain.
Yeah, they do.
Shit for brains is what that really translates into.
To be honest, there is so much information and videos to debunk this that we didn't even really know where to begin to find stuff, because they call Satan's world, it's full of half-truths and lies, apostate lies. They hate the news media because they're slandering Jehovah's Witnesses.
But truth is not slander. That's the idiocracy. This is the constipation of the brain that they suffer from, because it's not slander when they're exposing your organization for child abuse.
Well, the thing is they say, be careful about neutrality in the ministry. And I'm going to put the link down below to this entire talk. I think it was about 11 and a half minutes thereabouts. And they're saying, to be careful not to say anything for or against, several organizations, political, media, all of this. Okay, if they're trying for a kinder, gentler Watchtower...
That's too late for that.
Yeah. What about the 2011 Watchtower, July 15th, pages 15 to 19, under the subheading, "Do not follow false teachers"? How is this being neutral? Well, apostates are mentally diseased and they seek to infect others with their disloyal teachings. That's not neutral.
No.
And let's go to the 1998 Watchtower Bond Volume, January 15th, page 27. And they're talking about the convention, Strengthening Our Faith in God's Word. And they're talking about a convention that they had gone to. And over on page 27, the last paragraph, the last talk of the day was "The quality of your faith tested now. Faith that is untested has no proven worth, and its quality remains unknown." Well, aren't they being tested, their faith being tested in Russia and all these other countries?
Yeah.
So according to this, your faith has to be tested.
I thought they want this because this is what they're looking forward to.
Well, that's what I'm trying to bring out here, is if you want your faith tested, then allow them to go on YouTube and the internet and investigate all what the apostates are saying. About halfway down the paragraph. Similarly, our faith must be tested to prove that it has substance and real quality. So prove us wrong.
Real
Watch our
quality.
videos and prove us wrong. The speaker said, at times the news media as well as the authorities are duped by clergymen and apostates into pinning false labels on us, misrepresenting our Christian beliefs and way of life. Will we allow those who are blinded by Satan to intimidate and dishearten us and make us feel ashamed of the good news? Will we permit lies about the truth to affect our regular meeting attendance and our preaching activity? So how is that being neutral and not allowing your members to test their faith and to test what we say in our videos?
So, that's a bold statement compared to Floden now saying, oh, be cautious as serpents and innocent as doves. Again, speaking out of both sides of their mouths, and they're also, look, guys, this book, pay attention to Daniel's prophecies, even this picture alone. Oh, there was a rock carved out of the mountain of Jehovah that struck the feet of the image. We all know what we were indoctrinated, how to interpret this, that God's government will destroy all governments of the earth. That in itself is a political-based statement. And it doesn't matter whether it comes out of the Bible or not. How is a picture of that I just shown being cautious as a serpent and innocent as a dove? No, that is a bold-faced statement coming out of the mouth of this monkey's ass. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, Floden, do you know those red spots in the back end of a baboon? Well, that's part of his ass also. Jeez, they just don't get it, do they?
Well, we've mentioned before, years ago in videos, of how going to the door, someone, may make a comment about abortion or something like that. And, witnesses would have to be careful to be neutral. No. Most of them will say they're pro-life. Now, I know, I just digress here a minute. I've mentioned in the past about abortion and how I'm neutral on it and won't say. Well, I have to change that, and I can now because I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I can say, my opinion. The laws that are being passed in this country to allow late-term abortion clear up until the baby's born, and in some cases being born, and then the mother decides if she wants, the doctors and nurses to take care of, that is disgusting. It's atrocious, and I firmly believe that this is not a neutral subject anymore.
No.
Well, maybe the first 6 weeks it's a woman's choice, but why would it take you 9 months to decide if you want that child or not? No, this should not be allowed in this country.
But there again, that's no different than the mind concept that's already built into Jehovah's Witnesses when you allow your children to die on the operating tables refusing blood transfusions. It's no different. These Jehovah's Witnesses are the same exact people that are advocating killing the child up to the moment of birth. There's no difference between these two groups of people.
Well, another reason they might be mentioning this is someone sent me the link, and I believe it was our buddy Atlantis, on a newspaper, I believe, in Mexico. And I'll see if I can find that and put the link down below. But they were talking to Jehovah's Witnesses and asking them how they felt about Trump's wall being built and the immigration issue. And of course, as a typical Jehovah's Witness, they gave their opinion and said that there shouldn't be any borders, that we're all one world and all of this.
Yeah.
Okay, how is that being politically neutral or being neutral in the, and giving your opinion to the media? Look how many Jehovah's Witnesses have been in the media. Bromley, C-SPAN, just last week, we did a video about
politicking. Yeah, he's
lobbying
politicking.
and politicking. If you guys don't help us fight for our human rights, how is that being neutral?
You're all going to suffer.
Didn't you hear about Bromley's talk? You better go talk to him before you do a talk about to the rank and file about this.
Yeah, and then when you get back to that image, in the Daniel, the prophecy of Daniel, this Watchtower organization has always pushed that the United Nations would be the last king to rule over mankind, and that it would be a one world government, and that all governments of the world would give their authority to this last king, which is the United Nations, and that it is God's kingdom that will destroy that. I mean, you can't get any more than a political statement than that right there. So they are not politically neutral.
So I see you have this Watchtower I found in front of you. You want me to read what this is?
Well, yeah, go ahead, because it's going to tie in to the very last point that Kim and I want to make. Well, I think it's the last point because, you know, we're just kind of all winging this. So we're going to, hopefully this will be the last point that we make, just to show how deceptive this organization truly is.
Oh, now, Mikey, that's giving your opinion against an organization that's trying to be innocent as doves and cautious as serpents.
Do I have one of those I give a shit looks on my face?
All right, this is the Bond volume, Watchtower, February 15th, 1994. Page 5. Are Jehovah's Witnesses a cult? They give evidence that they're not a cult. You know, basically the same thing. We're not a cult because we say so.
That's exactly what it is. We're not a cult because we say so.
Okay, so over on page 6, there's a subheading in the first column, a well-known religion. Wow. Outstanding is a recent ruling by the European Court of Human Rights. It declared that the witnesses should enjoy freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and that they have the right to speak about their faith and teach it to others. Okay, now I agree with that, you know, any religion, anyone claiming to be a religion has the right to those.
Then as ex-members, we absolutely have the right to expose your bullshit also.
Yeah. Going on with this would hardly be the case if Jehovah's Witnesses were known to use deceptive and unethical techniques to recruit members, or if they use manipulative methods to control the minds of their followers.
And I'm going to debunk that next.
On their website, it says they do not shun former members, and it's only in a spiritual sense. Family ties are not broken. And then at their meetings and in their magazines, they're telling Jehovah's Witnesses not even to email or text your former members that are disfellowshipped.
Well, family.
Isn't that deceptive and manipulative?
Well, okay, how much more deceptive can you be when you get that Jehovah's Witness giving that talk saying, you need to find a hiding place for your literature? Now, think about this. I mean, this isn't the first time this nonsense comes out of the minds of these constipated people. The problem is this, Jehovah's Witnesses. Why are you trying to keep literature when you know as well as I do that Watchtower says that when we get into the new system, we're going to have new scrolls opened up? Well, won't those new scrolls invalidate every damn piece of crap I've got in this bookshelf right here? Think about what they're asking you to do. They're asking you to keep this literature but hide it so that when you get in the new system, your new scrolls are going to invalidate all of this. So why keep it? Why not just burn it? Because it all becomes invalidated the moment you enter the new system of things, and these governing idiots opens up the new scrolls. Well, it cancels each other out.
Maybe not even then. If they come out with a new teaching this summer at the summer convention, guess what? Half of the literature may be invalid. So you go hide your literature, and then you gotta go dig it up, you know,
you're gonna
3 months from now because something has changed. I do have to say something funny here.
Okay.
Yesterday we had to change out the heating elements in our water heater. Now it's in a closet with the furnace, and there's like a panel that you have to unscrew and take off. And it's a difficult thing to get in there. So Mikey is in there working on the hot water heater, and I hear him holler out to me. I'm thinking he's going to ask for tools or something. He hollers out, he says, hey, this would be a good place to hide our literature.
Yeah, this is how constipated their brain is, because we've all been indoctrinated. When we get into the new system, we're going to have new scrolls opening up. We're going to live by a whole new, system of laws and yada, yada, yada. Whatever bullshit they indoctrinate with, that by itself invalidates the value of all of this stuff right here. But, like Kim read, and I think it's worth reading again, because I want this to be completely understood. Okay? Outstanding is the recent ruling by the European Court, ... This would hardly be the case if Jehovah's Witnesses were known to use deceptive and unethical techniques. What about the teachings of Christ? You don't even talk about the teachings of Christ. See, unethical techniques to recruit members. See, the thing is that we all know, having been taught by this nonsense that the Watchtower teaches, that Floden is saying to be politically neutral, be be cautious as serpents and innocent as doves, until you start studying. And then you realize that they are not politically neutral. They are absolutely anti-government. By then, it's almost too late, because you've accepted the bullshit.
Well, look at what they do. When you start studying with someone, you're told, try to get them from their King James or other Bible, their revised edition, whatever version they have of the Bible, try to get them into the New World Translation and teach them how easy the New World Translation is, easier to understand, and how, basically manipulate their minds to show that the New World Translation is more correct, than their Bible. How is that not being manipulative?
And yet, Russian government wants that Bible banned. Is it because the Russian government realized what you've done? It's you know what, Kim, for you and I to sit here and do this is as easy as, shooting fish in a barrel, for crying aloud.
Well, I can take it one step further. When the New Silver Bible came out in 2013, we know of an elderly anointed sister that was sitting in her Kingdom Hall. She did not like the new Bible, and she had the old Bible.
Yep. She refused to use it.
She refused to use it. She got hauled in the back room, and the elders told her, you have to use the new Bible. How is that not manipulating an elderly woman to use the Bible that they, revised?
Yeah, exactly. So just carrying on here, let's see. This would hardly be the case if Jehovah's Witnesses were known to use deceptive and unethical techniques to recruit members, or if they use manipulative methods to control the minds. We're talking mind control now, friends. Mind control of their followers. Now I want to show you just how deep and insidious that mind control has actually gone to this, with this organization. And I want to thank the source, right? Atlantis. Because, brother, I never even caught this when I read this. And it's coming from the 1961, 62...
61. Blood, Medicine, and the Law of God.
And we're going to be reading from page 56. Now, I'm not going to read it directly from the blood booklet itself.
Because it's falling apart.
Yeah, but I do want everybody to see that what our friend Atlantis has sent us is a copy of that page. And this, guys, this is absolute brilliance to show how manipulative this organization is and how they twist things around without the Jehovah's Witnesses even able to comprehend what they're really doing.
If I kind of hold it together, I can show that, page 56, there it is. We do have it.
Okay, now we all know how the Jehovah's Witnesses have spun their blood policy, their blood doctrine. You know, I've done a video on this before where this book condemns the use of blood fractions as disobeying, breaking God's laws, but now they actually say, well, taking blood fractions is, you know, it's a conscience matter. What? So just because a few decades go by that it's now, it should have been a conscience matter back then if you had the truth like you claim you've got.
Well, like Jackson testified before the Australian Royal Commission, new medical, you know, procedures and stuff have come to light, so they can change it.
So now, new medical procedures trumps God, is what they're saying. New medical procedures trumps God's law. It gets even deeper. I want to read what Atlantis is pointing to, and then I'm going to...
First paragraph at the top.
Now keep in mind, this is not Mike and Kim, this is Atlantis, and it shows how alert ex-members are to be able to pick this bullshit apart, and how satanic it really, really goes. Men who lack faith in God. Keep that phrase in mind. Men who lack faith in God argue that principles of righteousness and law, no matter how good, may be set aside when the life of an individual is at stake. Even religious leaders join in arguing that the application of the laws of God may be suspended to save a life. But that is not godly reasoning. It finds a basis only in the charge made by Satan the devil when he said to God, all that a man has he will give for his life. And that's quoting from Job 2:4. Satan was confident that men would forsake God when obedience seemed to put them in personal jeopardy. But he is a liar. In modern day, witnesses of Jehovah, faced with an issue that involves the most widespread misuse of blood in human history, join in declaring that they too will hold fast their integrity to God. For their faithfulness, God will reward them, even by raising them from the dead with everlasting life in vigorous health in his righteous new world. Now, this is Atlantis' statements. Now remember, men who lack faith in God argue the principle of righteousness and laws, no matter how good, may be set aside when the life of an individual is at stake. This is what Atlantis says. This should alarm everyone who reads this nonsense. Why? And this is how insidious this is. Because Jesus himself made it clear that the Sabbath law could be broken to save the life of a person or even an animal. Here are a few verses that prove this. Matthew 12:11, he said to them, what man is there among you who has a sheep, and it falls into a pit on the Sabbath? Will he not take hold of it and lift it out? Luke 14:5, and he said to them, which one of you will have a son or an ox fall into a well, and will not immediately pull him out on the Sabbath day? John 9:16, therefore some of the Pharisees were saying, this man is not from God, because he does not keep the Sabbath. But others were saying, how can a man who is a sinner perform such signs? And there was a division among them. So the Watchtower Society, in their aim to twist a person's reasoning about accepting blood, is in actuality throwing Jesus into the mix of men who lack faith in God, who set aside God's law when the life of an individual is at stake. Well, isn't that interesting? Also, Jesus, since Jesus was a religious leader, they say about him, even religious leaders join in arguing that the application of the laws of God may be suspended to save a life. Wow. And then they accuse Jesus of not having godly reasoning. And that by Jesus doing this, his reasoning is based on Satan's charge in connection with the accusation concerning Job, that all a man has he will give for his life. According to Watchtower reasoning, Jesus Christ should have taught his disciples to trust in God by obeying the Sabbath law and waiting until the next day to heal these people. And in his lessons, he should have spoken in unity with God by saying something like, "And if your son or ox falls into a well, trust in God that he will preserve them alive until after the Sabbath is over, when you can either retrieve them alive then, or if they should die, have faith in your obedience that you will welcome your son back in the resurrection." How utterly pharisaical the Watchtower writers are, as they clearly shown here. How diabolical they are in the way they demonstrate just how easily they can twist the scriptures and manipulate people into thinking along any line of thought that they want people to think. Such evil people indeed. And that's exactly what they bring out in here. The Jehovah's Witnesses do manipulate the mind. They do twist reasoning around, and they do throw Jesus Christ under the bus as a man who lacked faith in God and a man who could not trust God. This is how evil these men are. Make no mistake about it, friends and Jehovah's Witnesses. They want your children to die. And they prove it because they have no trust in Jesus' words.
Well, look at, they won't even protect children in their organization. And now it appears, you know, from what we're hearing, that they're trying to protect their assets from, and you can add, and protect their asses from paying out what is owed to these abuse survivors.
See, and this is why the Watchtower Babel Crap Society will continuously say, "Oh, don't listen to Jehovah's Witnesses. Their reasoning is wicked," while they're deflecting and trying to make you think that our reasoning is mentally diseased. How? No, it's them. Because you, Jehovah's Witnesses, just cannot, well, okay, the problem is you also suffer from constipation of the brain too. Because when you listen to this bullshit that comes out of these men's mouth, and you will not sit back and reflect for yourself what these men are truly saying by making statement. Guys, they made this statement back in 1961. Nothing has changed about these men. Nothing has changed. They're idiots. They all suffer from constipation of the brain. Wake up, Jehovah's Witnesses. Do your research. Listen to what ex-members are telling you.
Exactly. Is that it?
That's it.
So thank you for watching, and we hope you guys have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.